Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Coming up this week, Perplexity's head of design predicts the death of product development processes as we know them. NotebookLM gets a bunch of new features that you'll probably want to try out. Why a simple UX pattern on Snapchat is causing users some psychological problems, and how a new AI concept called swarm intelligence could transform how companies do market research and idea generation. As always, if you enjoy the briefing, hit the subscribe and the like button. But before all of that, Amazon has unveiled its take on browser operators this week. NovaAct is a new model designed to perform actions within a browser, and the new SDK allows developers to break down complex workflows into smaller, reliable commands, so for example, search and checkout, and then merge these with more detailed instructions. Amazon says that it is focused on scoring over 90% on the most common capabilities that other models fail at, like date picking, drop-downs, and pop-ups. One of the examples they shared is this, which instructs the model to close a cookie banner if they see it. The engineer who opened the video started with a very simple prediction, which is, soon there will be more AI agents than people browsing the web. Meanwhile, Tinder has launched a new AI-powered feature that assesses users' flirting skills. So this is powered by OpenAI's GPT models and its moderation API, and it allows users to interact with an AI bot to practice flirting and reenacting scenarios before going on dates. Users who use this feature will receive scores with suggestions on how to improve their dating skills. Tinder's Director of Product Innovation at Match, Alex Osborne, says that the product gave them a chance to experiment with how AI can make dating a little more fun and a little less intimidating. In theory, this sounds like a fun way to gamify the experience of dating, but the risk here is that people become more comfortable with interacting with AI than actually interacting with humans. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. In other news, Google's NotebookLM is continuing to ship new features, which is great to see considering they have a bad reputation for maintaining hit products. This week, it rolled out a new mind maps feature that's perfect for when you want to visualize your thinking or technical concepts that you want to understand in more detail. So mind map transforms the key concepts from your sources into an interactive visual mind map. And the mind maps you create then appear in your notes list. So this is definitely something worth checking out if you're somebody who prefers to think more visually. And as well as mind maps, Google also shipped another new feature this week to NotebookLM, which is called Discover Sources. So this allows you to enrich your notebooks with different sources from around the web, which is designed to enhance your notebooks with sources that perhaps you may not have thought about. So this is a pretty neat way for Google to take its own value proposition, which is knowledge discovery, and then weave it into its newer products, which is something that we may see more of as it seeks to differentiate itself from its competitors. And speaking of competitors, Perplexity's head of design has this week predicted the death of product development as we know it. So in a piece that is co-authored over on Medium, they say that the prototype and prune path is the path of the future. And as part of this, they say we'll need to say goodbye to cycles of mock and doc feedback and say hello to code-first prototypes with constant iteration to answer 3 questions. Can this idea be done with today's technology? Will the results consistently meet users' expectations? And can it perform smoothly and quickly enough for real-world use? Now, clearly, Perplexity's head of design has a vested interest in thinking that AI will form a fundamental part of the prototyping process, but they definitely have a point here because with the rise of vibe coding tools, it is now easier than ever for non-technical members of product teams to build prototypes quickly and then iterate on those with users. And on this topic of building quick prototypes, over on Substack this week, I take a look at 5 different types of AI assistant prototypes that product teams can build, including this, which is an example of how you can build a clone of Shopify. And in this example, we've built a contextual helper, which allows sellers to benchmark their prices against competitors. Also on Substack this week, I explore an emerging new technical concept called MCP, or Model Context Protocol. Last week, OpenAI and Microsoft announced they're going to be supporting this new protocol, so if you want to learn more about that, then head over to Substack. Meanwhile, at the start of this year, most commentators predicted that this would be the year of the AI agents. And this week, Otter released its own AI agents, which might be of interest to product teams. And it's called the Otter SDR agent, which is short for Sales Development Representative. And it can be embedded into websites to conduct interactive live demos of products. Replit has also officially launched V2 of its AI agent. And to mark the release of this new AI coding agent, Replit's CEO said this week that you really shouldn't bother to learn coding today. He may be a little bit biased though. But not all execs are convinced about the potential of AI agents. In a new survey conducted by the Wall Street Journal, for example, just 6% of execs say that their company is using AI agents, which proves that not all companies are on board. In other news, generative AI startup Runway has released an impressive new video generating model called Gen 4. And to show off its capabilities, Runway produced a collection of short films and music videos, one of which is called The Lonely Little Flame. And if you haven't seen these videos, I would recommend checking them out. If you're a geek who likes stop motion animation like me, then you'll appreciate just how realistic this looks. This week also marked that time of the year that we all look forward to, which is the release of new emojis. And this week, Apple released 8 new emoji designs as part of its 18.4 update. And these include a radish, a fingerprint, a purple paint splatter, and one that we can all relate to when we're up against a tight deadline at work, which is face with bag under eyes. I'll probably be using that quite a lot. Now let's take a look at some tools you can use, and we'll start with something which is a free alternative to Duolingo that uses news and viral clips to teach you how to speak foreign languages. So this is called Fluent Subs. And the idea here is that you can step through sources that are readily available on the web, such as YouTube videos, news articles, and so on, and then use those to teach you new languages in the context of how you might experience those languages in the real world. Next is Grymo, which is a new writing tool with multimodal AI capabilities built in. If you're somebody who's always looking out for new ways to write notes outside of things like Google Docs, then this could definitely be something worth checking out. So it has an AI editor built directly into this, and you can use it to edit your content, plus also search the web to get reliable sources. And you might be thinking, well, why would I not just use something like Google's Gemini? And I guess the difference here is that this is model agnostic, which means that you can get access not only to Gemini, but also to DeepSeek, OpenAI's models, Claude, Llama, and a whole bunch of others as well. So this is a pretty neat way to do what the founders call vibe writing. And the final product this week is something called Zyko. If you find yourself creating prompts and then forgetting where you kept them, then this tool from Zyko might help. So this tool allows you to create your own template where you can input your own parameters and variables for a template that you might create. And then the template itself will dynamically update depending on the content that you've put in. So if you do use AI prompts throughout your workday and you find yourself copying and pasting it too much, then this is something definitely worth checking out. Now let's take a look at some data and trends this week. And new analysis suggests that YouTube could now be worth up to $550 billion, which represents a massive 30% of the value of parent company Alphabet. This analysis also predicts that its revenue may soon surpass Disney, and the company was also recently named the most watched platform on US TVs for only the second time. In this graph, you can see how this estimate of 550 billion compares against other players in the space. So the upper end of its valuation means that it's actually more valuable than Netflix, Walt Disney, Spotify, or Snapchat. Meanwhile, ChatGPT now has 500 million weekly active users and has been adding 1 million users an hour. The figure was revealed during the company's announcement that it has managed to raise $40 billion in funding at a $300 billion post-money valuation. And according to a senior analyst at Sensor Tower, which analyzes web traffic, ChatGPT now has 10 times the mobile app weekly active users compared to Gemini and Claude combined as of March. So ChatGPT right now seems pretty unstoppable. A new report this week was released by Anthropic, which is called the Anthropic Economic Index. And this gives us some insights into how Claude 3.7 is being used. And perhaps unsurprisingly, one of the main use cases, given its excellent performance, is software engineering. Anthropic says that it has seen an 8.4% rise in the share of people using the model for coding, and it also found that people use Claude's new extended thinking mode predominantly for technical tasks associated with computer science and software engineering. I mean, this data is self-selective to some extent, but this report is definitely pretty interesting and worth a read. Other pieces of data which seem to back this up include a new piece which suggests that 9,000 engineers at Amex now use GitHub Copilot, and 85% of their engineers say they're happy with it. Meanwhile, a simple product decision known as the half swipe in Snapchat is having a profound impact on some of its users. So in this piece in the Wall Street Journal, it highlights how this UX pattern has left some teen girls heartbroken. So here's how it works. This pattern is called the half swipe, and this design was originally created to alleviate the pressure that teens feel to respond immediately. So it works by allowing you to preview a message without letting the other person know that you've read it. But this design has backfired to some extent because teams are actually using this to check on the status of a user. And if somebody's online, then they're worried about why users haven't responded to their message. So whilst the initial intentions of this pattern were pretty noble, this does go to show that even simple product design choices can have a profound impact on users. Meanwhile, a new experiment that uses something called swarm intelligence is currently proving to outperform humans. So in this experiment, a group of 50 people are using what's known as swarm intelligence, and they're currently tracking it in the top 1.4% of an ESPN sports competition. So this technology allows groups of 200 plus people to collaborate with each other and brainstorm ideas with the help of an AI conversational surrogate. This swarm intelligence technology works by splitting groups of people up into smaller groups, and then an AI agent is placed into each of those groups known as a conversational surrogate. These surrogates are responsible for distilling the human insights that are discovered in those groups and then sharing it with other groups. And this concept of swarm intelligence could have a significant impact on tech companies and product teams who want to generate more insights from within their companies from large groups of people at the same time. One person who is regretting sharing insights from companies, though, is the person at the heart of the Rippling and Deel lawsuits. If you remember, I mentioned this a few weeks back, and this week the case took another twist and turn when the alleged spy at the heart of this operation, after originally denying the charges, has now published a fascinating affidavit which details exactly how the operation took place. And he says that he was paid €5,000 a month by Deel's CEO and his associates. And as part of the affidavit, the alleged Deel spy said that he followed the instructions of Deel by smashing his phone with an axe and then flushing it down a drain. And as this commentator said on X, smashing a phone with an axe and putting it down the drain is pretty crazy when you realize this is B2B SaaS. And finally, while last week was all about the Ghibli Studio craze, which is where people were transforming their images into the style of the animation studio, this week, generative AI has started a new trend instead, which is taking images generated by ChatGPT and then animating them into videos. And in these examples, you can see how you can transform images into animated podcasts that are in the style of Lego or Muppets. And if you want to do the same thing with static images of yourself that have been transformed into Lego people and puppets, then all you need to do is use this tool called Hedra, which is a generative media creation platform that gives you access to all of the leading video models. And on that note, I'll leave it there. Thanks very much for listening and watching. I'll be back next week with another briefing.